This episode is brought to you by Jing's Mortgage Team. Jing's Mortgage Team is a team of real estate mortgage professionals whose mission is to help anyone with their real estate needs. If you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, refinance your home, have credit issues, or in need of an investment loan, we can definitely help you. If you're looking for a real estate agent, we know the best of the best real estate agents. Visit the link below for more information. Thank you so much for coming on Secret Sauce with Hamilton Lau. For our viewers, our new viewers, Secret Sauce with Hamilton Lau strives to try to peel back the curtain on industry leaders, on remarkable places, on people that experience incredible experiences, how they overcame it. And today we have an incredibly special guest that I have on. Christine Rice. She's the director of Glen Cove Senior Center. She has an amazing resume of leadership in community outreach and community service. And I came here in February of 2023 for a Senior Independence Month event. I was fortunate enough to provide some great useful information for the seniors here. And when I came here, there's just something about this center. There's just loads of activity. There's a sophisticated transportation system to bring the seniors here. And I had to talk to the movers and shakers of this center because it is like no center that I've ever seen. Whether it be a community center or a youth center or any senior center, this is just top of the line. So Christine Rice, thank you so much for coming on.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
So let's dive right in.
Well, first I want to thank you for doing the series that you did at the center. The members loved it. It was very informative. It was helpful to them. And as you saw, the activity area was packed.
Yes. And I want to say that I think birds of a feather flock together, and giving back to the community is big for our team as well. So, when we connected, Christine was just immediately like, hey, this sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. And I'm so happy that so many people came. I'd love to dive into talking about what makes the center so great. And I believe that leadership is important. Leadership can either make or break any organization. And there's something special about this location here. I'd love to dive into what makes the Senior Center so great. So Christine, so from working with the Long Island Alzheimer's Foundations, the Glen Cove Senior Center now, what attracted you to helping the community?
Well, I grew up in a great community, like I said, Garden City. It's wonderful. My parents brought myself and my 9 siblings up in Garden City. So we kind of grew up with our own community with that many people in our family, and we were very active in Garden City, whether it be athletics, going to help at certain organizations, doing different things as we were younger. My parents were kind of leaders in themselves. My mom was a very strong woman. When she was younger, in that age, most people got married at very young ages, had children. She went to college. She traveled Europe. She worked in an advertising agency, and then she met my dad, and she had her children. So she was a very strong advocate for knowing your voice, knowing your passion, never forgetting it, never wavering from it, and to give back because you get so much. It's not about what you get, it's about what you give. And they were both very good about teaching us the value of helping others.
What was your position in the hierarchy of the 9 siblings?
Well, it was 10 children in 15 years, so it was 4 boys first and then 6 girls.
Okay.
And I was the 8th.
You were the 8th.
Yes.
Wow. So not quite the youngest.
Nope.
But then not quite the middle child, right?
Right.
Oh, wow.
Right.
What was that like growing up? You had to fight for attention a lot, or?
Yeah, probably a little bit. I mean, I loved it. I'm still very, very close. Our siblings are extremely close. As I said, we went to a family wedding. My niece got married this past weekend, and we were all there. We talk to each other on a regular basis. We see each other all the time. My parents really encouraged us very strongly that that's our foundation. Family is extremely important.
Right.
And you're always there for each other, and you're always there for other people.
I wonder, because I have a daughter, a single daughter right
Okay.
now, and we're planning on having another one. And I wonder, as you grew up, having this great support, this great number of people in the house, right?
Right.
And helping each other, do you think that kind of developed those, that great habit in your head of, oh, let me just help people, because
Absolutely.
I've just gotten used to it growing up. Would you say that's the case for you?
Absolutely. Because it was, as you grow up, especially with 6 girls, you want a pair of jeans, you want this, you want that. And you kind of learn, first of all, you learn a work ethic. We all had jobs very young, whether it was babysitting or working in a supermarket or, anywhere. We all needed to, my parents wanted us to know that and have that strong work ethic. And we also just learned to work together, with each other.
Yeah. And I think, within the process of helping each other and even helping maybe the community, it would just lend itself right over, right? Was
Yes.
that present in your childhood a lot, like helping the community and doing
Yes.
community outreach?
Yeah. And it was, we grew up honestly with my mother's favorite saying was count your blessings. So you have so much, so you need to give in whatever way you can. It doesn't have to be a specific way where somebody thinks you can. It could be just one good deed that you did for somebody that day. Whether it would be in school if somebody is sitting alone and eating by themselves, or if they don't have friends, or if they're having trouble, they had a bad test day or whatever. Step out of yourself. And even if it's an uncomfortable situation, step out of yourself and think about the other person's feelings.
Do you have a direct experience from your childhood where, because it's kind of cliche now, right? It's like almost saturated within the culture. Do the right thing and help out somebody in need, right? I mean, do you have a direct experience where, doing something for somebody or even the community, you saw an immediate or direct impact?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have a family member who grew up with disabilities, and we watched, unfortunately, at certain points where her feelings were really hurt in terms of how people might have treated her or not gotten to know her. So that was very strongly ingrained in us that if we saw something like that happening, we'd do something about it, because we knew that feeling. We saw how sad it made this individual. And there's an immediate impact when you do something like that. When you think about, even if you have somebody who might not be acting generously or nicely to somebody, think, okay, maybe they're struggling with something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they're acting out and not being nice to somebody else. So you try and put yourself in other people's shoes and just show them compassion. And usually when you do that, it has a good outcome. And then you immediately feel better because you see somebody who is sad and then all of a sudden they might be smiling. That's like, okay. And I remember telling my mother, I'm like, it's kind of selfish though, because it makes me feel good. And she's like, but that's it. You're passing along the good feelings to everybody. And you had that personal experience of knowing somebody that you love, who unfortunately, and we all go through angst and years where we're not feeling good about ourselves or something. And you always need that person, no matter who it is. Could be a stranger on the street.
Right.
That makes you smile and that changes your whole day.
Yeah, and it's like, it reminds me of this, there's a great prayer, the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, and there's a line on there where it's like, in giving is when we receive, and and there's another line on there, and again, I'm so sorry about butchering this quote, but it's like I think it's like in dying is when we are raised to a higher level, so something along those lines, and it resonated with me a lot because it's not easy helping people sometimes, right? And you may not get an immediate,
Response
from it, right?
Or you might not get a positive response from it.
Exactly. But
yeah.
at the same time, there is so many positive things that happen from just giving.
Yes.
Not just necessarily helping that person that may not see it, but you're helping yourself in many ways, right? Because,
You're learning every day. Like, to me, it's like I have so much to learn until my last breath. So it's like I can change, I can become better in certain areas. There's always work that you can do on yourself. And to be able to say, wow, you know what, I didn't do that right. And I'm sorry. And to take it in and think, okay, how could I do it differently the next time?
So helping the community, would you say that, that's what it means to you to help the community, giving back? making a positive change, changing somebody's perspective or view? I mean, what does helping the community mean to you?
Well, I think helping is bettering the community. I mean, anyway, because even in individuals, you can become better, and a community as a whole can become better. And if you have more people than less helping do that, it's successful.
Right. It's like when I went to college, I thought it was like somebody's gonna write some kind of manifesto, and suddenly everybody's gonna change their perspective.
Yeah.
But then no, like I realized, because my past life I was a public school teacher. I feel like
wow,
yeah,
that's
I
great.
used to teach special education, and
Good for you.
thank you. And I found that to change the world, to change society, to change culture, it really starts with that one person
Yeah.
at a time. You want to make the mark you want to see in the world, right?
Right.
You want to see the world more positive and more happy. You do positive
Do
and happy
something.
things, right?
Yes.
And that one person that you change, and then suddenly it compounds, right? So,
Right, and if you do that for one person, they're going to remember what you did for them, and it's kind of like the pay it forward. Make sure that at some point in your life you're going to be faced with a situation like that, and how are you going to handle it? And your
Yeah.
past experiences help you figure out how you handle those situations.
Absolutely. And it's almost like the person that you helped, maybe you change their perspective
Yes.
on helping the world. And when they encounter an experience, maybe they'll remember your experience,
Right.
and then they'll go out and help other people, right? So
Right.
yeah, just do good, my viewers. So Long Island Alzheimer's Foundation. So how did you get started in that?
Well, unfortunately, my mother had Alzheimer's. She lived with it for about 11 years.
Oh, geez.
And she was diagnosed, which would, right now, in this day, would be considered early onset. So she was diagnosed in her 60s. So she, at that point, my children were very young. They were 3 and 6 months old. And my father was still working. And my siblings, some lived in New York, but others lived other places. And we are all so close, and we all took care of our mother as much as we could. But with my children, I moved in with my parents, so I was her primary caregiver. But my sisters were always there, my brothers were always there, giving relief. So I just watched the sadness and the turmoil that goes with not only the person who's living the disease and traversing that journey, but the family who's trying to help her. Everybody has different emotions. Everybody has strengths in how they can help, which thankfully we were able to keep my mother at home because we had so many of us. That's not an easy thing for a lot of people. And sometimes I don't recommend it. If you can't have your parents at home, there's nothing wrong with that. You're not doing a good job for them if you find a facility that they are capable and trained and can give them the comfort and the care they need. So, over those years, I was teaching. I was doing my student teaching, and then I got my master's, and I did some teaching, but primarily was home with her. And I just, in my mind, on the days that were great, and she was lucid, and she would remember me sometimes, other days she didn't know who I was, I just knew I wanted to do something with this. I was like, this is such a sad thing. Some days I'd go to bed feeling great. I gave my mother a wonderful day, and, my children were with us, and that probably kept her in her early stages much longer because she was at the playground with us. She would take them to school. She went everywhere with me and with the kids, and she was hands-on with them, so her mind was constantly moving, and she was physically active, which helps with that. So I just thought, I need to do something once. There's going to be some point in my life that I will help in that area of Alzheimer's. I just didn't know what it was during that time. And when my mom passed away, I continued to teach, but then my father got sick. It was funny because she had cognitive disabilities and was physically fine. My father had all the physical disabilities and had cognitive, was sharp as a tack. So he had some heart issues. So then I ended up taking care of him, along with my sisters as well and my brothers. And then when he passed away, I thought, now what do I do? I've been a caregiver. Previous to that, I worked, when I had my children, I was paralegal in a law firm. Then I got my master's. I also got my real estate license. So I was keeping busy, but I thought, I don't know if I want to go back to any of that.
Right.
I don't feel like really strong strength towards that. Right. So I started looking on the internet for things to do with Alzheimer's. And I looked up LIAF, and they were looking for recreation leaders to help, and they were also looking for an outreach coordinator. So I went on an interview, and they hired me.
That's awesome. I want to say, you know, I'm in my second season now in Secret Sauce with Hamilton Lau.
Oh, good for you. That's great.
Thank you. A theme that I found with speaking with industry leaders is that, you know, they pursued a passion. They pursued something that they deeply care about. And my theory, at least my opinion, it seems like, you know, it just makes the most sense, because when you're at home making dinner or even brushing your teeth or taking a shower, it's like, what are you going to be thinking about? You're going to be thinking about things that you enjoy, your passions, right? And versus a regular 9 to 5 that you don't really care too much about. I mean, it just seems like, you know, you're kind of waiting for the weekend or waiting for your day off because, you know, you don't really care too much about your job. So it seems like a common theme where successful industry leaders chase after their passions. I mean, would you agree that this was a passion of yours and you just decided, let's see where I go from here by pursuing this?
Absolutely. Because I didn't have to think too long. I was like, what do I want to do? And I thought, you know what, to honor my mom as well, like I went through it. We went through it as first-time caregivers. And I had so many questions and unknowns, and I read every book there was to read on helping care for your loved one. And the one book, which I will tout right now, is The 36-Hour Day. It's the book that saved my life. Absolutely helped me figure out how to traverse each and every stage of the disease and how to communicate better. Yes, how to communicate better. And I also remember my brother Timmy, who was an airline pilot. He was a pilot. He was in the Air Force for 7 years, and then he worked for an airline and just retired, as a matter of fact. And I remember talking to him, and he said, there's not a day that I don't wake up and love going to my job. Because forever, my father had a plane, so he flew with my father, and then he flew single planes, and he loved it. So that was his passion. He was like, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And I remember thinking that in my mind, like, wow, I want that. I want that. I want to be able to go to work, and as you said, not just go to work to get a paycheck. I mean, the paychecks are always good. Everybody needs a paycheck. I couldn't do without, but I just wanted it to be something that I felt was really meaningful, and then I could go home, that I could look forward to going to work, and then go home and be like, okay, I feel good about what I did today.
So when you first transitioned over into working with the Alzheimer's Foundation, tell us a little bit about that experience. You know, was it something that you expected? Was it like, okay, was there a moment where it was like, this is it for me, I am gonna be involved in giving back to the community because it just feels amazing. I mean, I'm sorry, just
No, that's okay.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, no, it was a challenge because the job that I got was director of special events and outreach. So it was probably 3 or 4 big events every year, and that was a large part of the resources to come to continue the programs that we were offering these families. And so I had never done it on that level. Fundraising I had before, so it was, and doing it within that type of organization, it was all new to me. So it was a big challenge, and it was something that at some points I was like, oh my God, who do I think I am? You know, like you wonder at some points, and then I thought, no, I can do this. This is not, and you deal with people all the time, and I love talking with people. I love being around people. I think probably from my upbringing, my parents were very social beings. We always had people around, conversation, they encouraged conversation. So all of the aspects of things I loved were in this job. And to top it off, it was doing something that I felt was honoring my mom. So I thought, okay, but this is a challenge. So and after each challenge, I was like, I did it. After each event, I felt proud, I felt good. And then I was like, well, I have to make more money next one. You know, so it was a constant push of my own abilities, which was really nice because I felt strongly about it. And it's a confidence builder. You know, where I was out of the workforce for a long time and intimidated to go into the workforce. Like, oh my gosh, can I do this? Can I not? And it really quickly, I felt like, well, I could do it. I could, throw something at me. I might have to learn it, but I'll do it.
Would you say that was your secret sauce for that moment in your life when you encountered an obstacle? Just setting that, continue to have that higher expectation and kind of, continuing to raise the bar?
Yes, and to not ever think that something's too great for you. You know, that, oh, I could never get there. I could never do that. No. You could do anything you set your mind to. And I used to be very, very shy. So I would say, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Now it's, as we were talked about earlier, life experiences, you learn. I've learned nothing is, so bad. Any mistake you might make, you can always fix it, apologize for it, or make it better. And if you do your best and you put your all in, you might be disappointed at some points because you might have wanted to reach that bar, but you did your best.
Yeah.
And you did it with integrity, and you did it with respect for other people. So it is, don't ever let somebody tell you can't do it. You can't, or you shouldn't do it. There's a story from my sister Ellen, who was a nurse, was going to nursing school at Catholic University. And she was born to be a nurse. She's a pediatric oncology nurse in Sloan Kettering. And she called up my mother one day in tears and said, my teacher told me I should find another career. I'm never going to be a good nurse. And my mother went off. She said, don't you ever. She said, you are going to be an amazing nurse. Don't you ever let anybody tell you that you can't or you shouldn't do something. Especially if you feel it's your passion, you keep doing it. And she did. I mean, she graduated, and she's been an amazing nurse for almost 30 years. So it's, you might be intimidated by things, but if you feel strongly about it, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing.
I have to ask you, actually, it just hit me. How long were you that primary caretaker for your mom and your dad? Was it years or?
Yeah, probably 12 or 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe a little. My mom got diagnosed in 96. Yes, my daughter was married in 95. 96, and she died in 2006. So that was 10 years. And then my father lived almost like 6 years after. He passed away in 2013. So yeah, it was a long time. Wow. But like I said, I did things in between. My sisters would help, but I lived with them primarily. But I did things like real estate where I could do it in a very flexible schedule.
Right.
And a lot of it from home. But I don't regret it. I wouldn't change a thing.
Do you have any advice for somebody that is caring for a parent that is going through that process?
Absolutely. Have compassion for yourself. Because it's not an easy job. It's probably one of the toughest jobs there are. I mean, just like parenting. It's very difficult. Nobody knows how to do it until they have children. But the job is so difficult, and you might feel on a day that you have done nothing right, and that you failed the person that you love, or that, oh my God, can I or should I be doing this? That's all natural emotions, and find somebody to talk to. Don't do it alone. Don't. Whether it's a social worker that you can reach out to, whether it's a family member, know that you have your limits, that there's certain things you can do, and if you get to a point where you feel like you really can't do this anymore, reach out.
Because it's perfectly normal to feel
Absolutely.
overwhelmed, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
It's so charged. I could imagine, it's your parent
Yeah.
that raised you, so it's like now to see them kind of go through a struggle that they're probably not going to get better from.
Right. And then they don't know you. At points, you're dealing with somebody who their mind is erased. And you have to realize the biggest lesson I taught myself is that, if my mom had had a bad day, or if she didn't know who I was, or she was afraid that I was a stranger coming in her house, I learned to not take it personally. I learned that it's the disease, it's not my mother. Because my mother was the most loving, caring woman ever. So this is just the disease, unfortunately.
I want to talk to you about Glen Cove Senior Center, because you had actually taken the helm from Carol Walkman, I believe. Waldman. And Waldman, super famous actually, because
she's amazing.
Yeah. Her name is downstairs. So it's like, so I remember reading an article where it says, you quoted as saying, big shoes to fill.
Yes.
So how did that transition come about, from the Long Island Alzheimer's Foundation to Glen Cove Senior Center?
Well, when I started at the foundation, I had, my job was for outreach, to go out and go to assisted livings, go to nursing homes, go to senior centers. So the Glen Cove was on my list. So I came here. I remember the first day I met her. Came in, walked into her office, and we sat down. And within 10 minutes, I was like, I love this woman. I love her. We just connected. She was terrific. We did, over the years, we did programs here, cognitive programs. They had nighttime programming. So we would, our social workers would come and do programs with the members here. So it was great. I loved it. And then years later, she came to one of my events, one of our big ones, the casino night event, and she was there, and I was like, oh, what are you doing? She said, oh, I just wanted to come and see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. And then we had lunch, and she told me that she was considering retiring. And that she wanted me to take over as the director. And I was
Did you have a relationship with her already, or
Oh,
was
yeah.
just that? Okay, so you frequented a lot.
Yes, we would talk to each other a lot.
Okay,
We would do programming together. Liaf would come here to do programming with the members. And then we just kept in touch, you know, on a personal level because she's such a wonderful woman. But I hadn't seen her in a while. I probably hadn't talked to her in 6 months, maybe even a year. And that when she stopped by and then we had lunch and she said, I really think that you could do this. And that was so out of the blue. I thought, what are you talking about? I can't do that. But then over the next 6 months, we talked about it because she planned her retirement for, you know, a year or so. And I thought, oh, okay. You know, I talked to my family members, I always do. I'm like, what do you think? I talked to my children and they all encouraged me to do it. And I'm so happy that I did.
What was the characteristic about her that you love so much?
She's a real person. And she's got the biggest heart. And I mean, literally, you can say that about a lot of people. She's got the biggest heart of anybody you'll ever meet. She does for everybody consistently. She's funny. She's compassionate. I mean, every good quality you could say Carol Waldman has it. She really does.
You know, because I hear this a lot, like when people say, "Oh, this person is real." Like, I feel you are real. You know,
Oh,
I think
thank you.
no, you have to be to like, I think to be successful. You know, like when I say real, I mean like to be completely comfortable with who you are, and you know whether it's characteristics that could be abrasive or not. You know, like this is who I am, and you know I am gonna show this to the world, and you like me, you like me, you don't like me, you don't like me. At least that's my definition of real. I mean, would you say that that's kind of your definition?
Because you can't make everybody happy, and you can't make everybody like you. So it's like, okay, you just have to be happy with the person you are, and that you know that you're a good person. And if you can't gel with everybody.
Yeah, I think it's like, you know, when we're kids, we're kind of taught, you know, you have to look at yourself in the mirror, you know, do the right thing, and it's almost kind of gets ingrained. And you know, I don't know how this happens, but I've met people that kind of strayed from that, you know, where it's, you know, maybe they'll, instead of choosing the proper path or the path that will lead to the best outcome, maybe they'll choose a path that, you know, might be the easiest path and might not be the best outcome, but they'll get the immediate satisfaction or gratification, you know. But there is extreme value, I think, in those teachings and those sayings, you know, because it's like when you get older, like a geezer like me, right? I get older, like it's so important and pivotal to be able to live in your own skin.
Yes.
Because just, you know, I'm nothing to hide. I am who I am. You like me, you like me. You don't like me, you don't like me. It's so liberating.
It is.
You know,
it gives you, it's a comfort feeling.
Yeah, that self-sovereignty, right? So, how was that experience like when, you know, you transitioned over? I can imagine now. Suddenly, it's like, oh man, Long Island Alzheimer's Foundation. You're planning these events, getting bigger and bigger, and then suddenly from there to like director of the Glen Cove Senior Center. You know, big deal. What was that like?
It was fun. It was exciting. It was a challenge for me because I'd never managed this amount of staff, or, you know, building programs and all of that. I mean, I managed all the special events, which is great, which I loved. But this was a whole different thing. So it was kind of learning on the job in certain aspects of it. But I knew, like, as we talked about, like the person that I am, I knew I could communicate at least with everybody, especially the staff. You know, I wanted them to get to know me and how I work, but I also wanted to get to know them. You know, like, what is it that you love about this center? What is it that you'd like to see changed? What is it that you have frustrations about? You know, I tried to speak to each and every one of the staff to, you know, find those things out and to have a relationship with each and every one of them. You know, while still at the same time being, you know, the director and knowing how I wanted the center to run. There wasn't much that I had to change at all because Carol did an amazing job. You know, the programming was wonderful. It was a little difficult because I started in October of 2019 and we closed in March of 2020.
Oh, wow.
So it was only those 5 months or 6 months we were open, and then all of a sudden we were closed. So I was just kind of getting my footing and being like, okay, everything's running smooth. And I remember putting the piece of paper, getting a letter from Nassau County and putting the piece of paper on the door saying, how are we going to close for 2 weeks? I thought 2 weeks was a lifetime because what are our seniors going to do? So that was a totally different whole ball of wax. And now how do I manage separately? You know, not even having staff together, not having all of us be together, but still be able to work so that so the staff can still keep their job and not go on furlough. So it was a lot.
This is such a great paragraph to unpack.
Yes.
So much jewels from here. Oh my goodness. I want to say, like, it seems, again, a consistent characteristic, that an observation that I just want to point out for my viewers. Like, I don't expect everybody to watch every episode, but it seems like a theme, the common theme that I find from successful industry leaders are, constantly trying to improve, constantly learning, right? And in Christine's case, when you became a director, you're kind of learning on the job and
Yep.
kind of welcoming that challenge that, hey, I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm going to learn and try
Yes.
to strive for perfection,
Yes.
I wanted to point that out because, everybody that I have on had that kind of a mentality of constant improvement. And, it's awesome that you mentioned that because it makes sense, actually. When I come into this senior center, it's extremely clean. As I was mentioning before, the seniors are very happy, and there is just a great level of consideration and care for the members that come here. And I think that is a direct result of great leadership, a leader that is constantly thinking about self-improvement, not just for themselves, as I'm sure Christine does consider that, but, improvement of, what she's doing, and in this case, the director of the center. But I have to talk to you about the pandemic, because it's like, what do you do? I mean, a lot of our seniors the members that come here, they, again, a sophisticated transportation system, right?
Yes.
To bring them here, there's meals prepared for them. There's a lot of socialization. There's a lot of activity, physical activity, just get them up and moving. How did you weather that storm of the pandemic?
Well, like I said, we thought it was 2 weeks, and I thought, how are we going to do the 2 weeks? Seemed like a lifetime. Like, what are they going to do without us? So immediately, the day I put that piece of paper on the door, I said, asked my Jackie and Heidi, our site manager, assistant site manager, I said, please print out the names of all of our members, at least the members that have come consistently for the last 2 to 3 years. So that way, because we're going to make phone calls every single day. We're just going to check in on them. We're going to see if they need food. We're going to see if they're by themselves, if they're, if they need their medicine picked up, whatever it is. And because at the beginning it was, okay, closed down, but it wasn't everybody had to be locked in their house yet. So we split it up with everybody, all of our part-timers, especially our adult day program, because we have the adult day program for people who are physically and cognitively frail. That I worried about even more so, because those caregivers are not getting the respite they need, and their loved ones are not getting the stimulation they need. So all of us, all together, adult day, and all of the staff, including the kitchen staff, everybody got 2 pages of names. And when we went home, I said, every day, your hours, whatever you're supposed to be working, 10 to 2, or whatever hours you want to call them, but make sure you call your whole list. And if you're on the phone with them for 5 minutes and they say, no, I'm fine, that's fine. Or if they want to stay on the phone with you for an hour, you stay on the phone with them for an hour. Like, just make sure that they're okay. And then we realized, okay, we got to get them meals. So we called Nassau County, who supports our meals and transportation program, and we asked if we can deliver meals. Can we have to-go meals? And they were like, yes. So our caterer, who does our meals, packed them all up. And originally we were just doing it was just a few of us, and just putting them in our car and delivering them. We would call up and say, do you want a meal? Do you want this? And we'd say, we can give you 2 meals. We did it, I can't remember now. Shocking, I thought I would never forget it, but 2 or 3 times a week, and we would give them 2 meals each. So that kept us going. And then it was 2 weeks that we had to shut down completely. We couldn't do anything. And then we got our bus up and running. So, because I told the mayor, because a lot of people unfortunately had to go on furlough. And I said, we have to get out to our seniors though, because I need the staff, Tillman to drive the bus, and 2 of the staff members to go on to be able to get off the bus, come in, get all the meals prepared, figure out, we were all in here. We were all masked, gloves, everything. Jackie and Heidi every day would plan who needed the meal for the next day. And then the kitchen staff came in and packed it all up and went on the bus. And so we all worked through the pandemic. We were here, we were doing, whatever we could for them. We also, our activity coordinator and myself did online programming. So we immediately got our instructors that did all of our Tai Chi and our other exercise through EAC. They were enabled, the ones that were able to, started videotaping themselves being live on Facebook. So that was another thing we had to do, was call and teach our members, if they had an iPad or even a phone or a computer, how to get on there, so that they could be connected, still move around, do things at home. So it was basically everything, almost everything that happens here, they were just doing it at home. And we were giving them the resources to be able to do it.
Wow. And it's like with the goal of doing the right thing for others, that passion was what helped, that motivated and drove you to continue to succeed, essentially, right? And I want to point out something that an observation that I made. You have this energy about you, this energy of advocacy, and again with the foundation of helping others, and I have like maybe a assumption on where you potentially got that from. I mean, what do you think you got that potential secret sauce from? That this sense of advocacy, speak up, and because I'm sure it wasn't easy to be calling the mayor, hey, I need this for my seniors.
Right.
And meanwhile, the mayor, I'm sure, has like a million. It's the pandemic.
Right.
Probably has a million things on her mind. So I'm sure that sense of advocacy and really fighting for what you think is right. That has to be there to get what you want done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where do you think you got that foundation of advocacy from?
Definitely from my family. I mean, growing up.
Okay.
And I do have to say that the mayor that was, Mayor Tenke that was there was very supportive, wonderful, as is Mayor Panzemak.
Yeah.
Mayor Panzemak was on our Sage Foundation, and she is wonderful and will support us in whatever way she can possibly do it.
Shout out to
I'm
Mayor
very
Pam. You're
yes,
awesome.
absolutely. I mean, really, I'm very lucky. We're very lucky in that way because they really do believe in the services that we provide. But yeah, I think it was just from my upbringing. I really do, and I think just I don't know. Sometimes I was a really, really sensitive child, very sensitive. My family used to laugh at me all the time because I'd cry at everything. My feelings would get hurt, this and that. So I think that it made me, empathetic to individuals who feel that same way and may not have somebody to support them, and may have that. I think a feeling of loneliness is probably one of the worst feelings in the world. Really being lonely and alone and feeling you have nobody, to me is, it makes me so upset when I think about it. So if there's ever that, I just want to try and do whatever I can to try and alleviate that feeling from anybody.
Yeah, I can totally relate. I am the same, actually.
Yeah.
Similar story,
I can
actually.
tell.
Yeah,
Yes.
similar story. So it's like that. It's so overwhelming. That feeling of loneliness, sadness, unhappiness. It's so overwhelming. It's like you wouldn't wish that
On anybody.
especially a senior
Yes.
that is relying on the senior center for all their needs.
Yes.
Physical, emotional, spiritual needs.
Absolutely.
So it's like that, and it's not like 5 seniors. We're talking about thousands of seniors, right?
We have 2,000 members,
2,000
and on
members.
an average, we could have anywhere from 300 to 400 of them walking in during the day, whether it's just coming in for exercise or for lunch, or a lot of our members, this is their second home. They live alone. Their children don't live close to here, so they're here at 9 o'clock, and they may stay till 3 or 4 o'clock. They'll have lunch. They meet their best friends that they've had best friends in their life, but now this is their new best friends that they have. So it's really important. It was really important that we stay connected during that time.
Absolutely. And the center it just goes beyond just a physical location, right? As you were mentioning, you have the social aspect. And there's just a learning component here also. Like, there's Tai Chi here, there's pool, there's Mahjong, right? What senior center has Mahjong? My goodness. Like you have somebody that teaches Mahjong as well. It's very, very cool. When I came and I found that out, I'm like, this is incredible.
Yeah, that's very popular, very popular. And we're always open to new things. Like we ask our members all the time, if you hear anything or see anything that you want that another senior center has or whatever, let us know.
Yeah. And it's a very healthy, I think, like a life philosophy too. It's like, let's try something new, see what happens, and then if it's great and it sticks, let's build on it, right? And if it doesn't work out, people don't like it, or there's issues, then we'll stop doing it, right?
Right. No, it doesn't hurt.
Exactly. I think that's another potential secret sauce that highly successful people, that mentality that they have, versus just that negative perspective of that's not going to work. I don't even want to try it. I don't want to think about all the negatives of it. I don't, I already have all this programming set up. I don't want to, I think that makes a lot of sense, what you just said.
Right, just be open to things. You have to, if you say no, I mean, sometimes some people said, I remember when I was younger, they'd say, you say yes to everything, and then you're overwhelmed. They're like, you should say no first, and then be like, okay, I can do this. I'm like, I don't think I can do that. But just having an idea and saying it's not going to work, why would you do that? You haven't even tried. And it might be a great thing for people that they love. It's something outside the box, try it.
Yeah. Changing lives, right?
Yeah.
And I want to say there's one wall that I see that has just dozens of activities on it, and then
Yeah.
there's like it's amazing. Shout out to Eric Schumann, right, who also
Yes,
helps plan
activity coordinator, yes.
Right. But there's like one wall that I for sure see, and I'm sure there's other locations where activities are posted up. Just this constant just stimulation and constant options and opportunities to learn and grow, because you hit a certain age, it doesn't mean that you stop growing and stop having fun.
Or learning too. I mean, like you were saying, they all try all these new activities. And what we really try and encourage, I try to get to know each new member that comes in, and get to know their life and what's going on with them, or what they've done in their past. And I encourage them, if they've had a profession that they really love and they were strong in. And I'm like, we have somebody who was a math professor for years. I said, give a lesson. He was like, oh, maybe I'll do that. He's going to do his third lesson now. The place is packed. Everybody loves it. I said, just make it fun. Don't make it like when you're in 8th grade, oh, I don't want to go to math class, Then they're not going to like it, but do it enjoyable. And everybody loves it. And they just ask for another, and he's going to do a third. So like that's what he did his whole life. That's like his being. So he can share with people and teach people. And you're never too old to do that. Ever.
I think I saw a flyer downstairs. What is it, like the meaning of
Meaning of numbers. That's probably
that
what it is.
Yeah.
That's probably it is. Yeah, that's Frank. He's a wonderful member. So he's going to do his third one.
So from the onset of the pandemic to now, to when we got out of the pandemic, at least, that was kind of the theme, I guess, right? It was constantly, with the goal of helping our, the members out, constantly advocating, and was there, any other obstacles that you encountered? I mean, it was a huge obstacle, for that alone, Was there any obstacles that you hit during that time that you would share?
Yeah. So partly I said to everybody, I'm like, I might be a jinx, because an Ida destroyed our entire basement.
Holy moly.
So we had, because the way that our building sits, the water flows from up that hill, flows down, and then we have a creek behind us. So that rose. So we had 6 feet of standing water in the back of our parking lot. So it just destroyed our entire basement, which was our adult day program down there. Then we have, we had pool tables and other couches and areas where everybody did their activities, and it was just destroyed because the sewer tops popped off, so it was sewer water included. So we had to have remediation, had to cut all the sheetrock at a certain point, had to rip up all the carpeting and the flooring, had to take out the kitchen and ADP. I mean, it was destroyed. We had just really started to come back and open up. I mean, we all started crying. I walked in that morning, and I'll never forget it. Rob, who's our cleaner, came down and he said, did you see the basement yet? And I was like, no, I'm dealing with the water up here. He's like, you got to go in the basement. I was shocked. I mean, there still was probably 2 feet of water in there, 2 to 3 feet of water. So that took us almost a year to rebuild because we had to go through insurance, and then FEMA supposedly was going to help us. We had to itemize everything we lost, down to pens and crayons, down in the ADP. So it took forever. Stephanie and David in our finance department were amazing. And Melanie and Amanda, Amanda's our director of the day program, Amanda Freeman, and Melanie Raimundo is our program project coordinator, which is amazing. We're just destroyed. I mean, we're all crying, like, how are we going to build this back? And we can't have these families come here. Right. Like, now they're home again.
Yeah. So and I got to say, for more context for our viewers, the basement is like a hub of activity down there. You got a pool table. There's just
all our exercises down there.
There's just so many. I see ping pong tables down there. It's just so much activity happens. It's not just a storage area, and this was devastating.
It really was. It was, and I thought to everybody, I'm like, what is it going to be, a swarm of locusts next? I have no idea. Like, why is this happening? So I as upset as I was like, as you talk about leadership, I'm like, okay, we're going to get this done. It's okay. This is just another obstacle. It's a stumbling block. We're going to get right on top of it. We were hands-on. We had our gloves. I was digging stuff out, throwing things in the dumpster, as much as we could help to get it done. And if that was in September, excuse me, my years. I think it was December 21, and then, September 21, and by September 22, we had almost everything in there. We had a brand new kitchen. Had to get it all outfitted. And it takes a while because also during the pandemic, things were not readily available. So the products that we needed, it's going to take you 5 months to get it. So it was devastating at that point, but we went back to virtual programming for our adult day. And then once we had our flooring in and we had the walls done, we brought them back in because we just used card tables and folding chairs. But at least we had them here.
Right.
So we were able to do that. Now we're fully up and running. Everything is brand new. Everybody loves it, nice and clean.
It was definitely a test for you.
Yes.
And you have passed it with extremely fine. Because
Thank
when I
you.
walk down there now, if you hadn't told me that this had happened,
You would never know it.
I wouldn't. It's incredible down there.
Yes.
It's like I want to kind of come by later.
I
and
know.
play ping pong. Like this is very amazing, beautiful space. If you haven't come and check out.
Yeah, you're
the
welcome
Glen Cove Center.
anytime.
Yes, please come because it's a very welcoming, warm. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
Thank you.
So it was a test, and I want to say, like again, you passed it with flying colors. It's
Thank you.
So talk to us about this new experience that you're having with as a director of the North Shore Soup Kitchen. And
Okay.
NOSH.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm the chairwoman of NOSH, which is a food delivery and pantry service. We started with a few of us as soon as the pandemic started. We realized that especially families and children, families who lost their jobs and children no longer going to school and they get a meal there, that we needed to help them somehow. So we did that. It started at the Glen Cove High School in the back area, and we got people donating food and stuff from Island Harvest and then Long Island Cares, and we got volunteers who would come every day, and they still do, to pick up. We have a tracking system where we have the families that need the food, and they deliver it to their doorstep. We did partner with the North Shore Soup Kitchen because we did not have our 501c3, and they were wonderful. They helped us through a really difficult time to be able to continue to get food, supply, their experience. They've been doing the soup kitchen for over 30 years. So they were wonderfully helpful to us, and we're extremely grateful. And then we got our own 501c3, so we've separated. So the soup kitchen is now doing what the amazing work they do, which is hot meals for individuals at the Baptist Church. And NOSH is separate and is at 32 School Street, right here in Glen Cove in the back. And we still do deliveries for families. If any family is in need of food, you just have to call the number or go down to 32 School Street. Or you can always call the Senior Center and speak to me about it. And we can get you on the list for delivery, but we also have a walk-in pantry. That's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 to 1. And you can come in and you can pick out whatever food you want. The deliveries that we do are, we get a certain amount of food if it's a family of 2 or if it's a family of 4, you get more food, obviously. The walk-in pantry, we have more options for people so they can pick what they'd like or what their children would like. And it's doing wonderfully. And we just, as a matter of fact, opened on Saturdays. We just had our second Saturday, this past Saturday. It's from 11 to 3. Individuals can come in. We have the farmer's market there. We've got fresh produce. We've got meat, rice, pastas, as much as we can possibly give to them. Because even though the pandemic's over, food insensitivity is still here. And, we need to help these individuals.
Wow. It just hit me that I have, I get goosebumps right now. I've identified your superpower. You're a superhero. No, it's like, we think of Marvel characters, DC characters, superpowers, right? No, you want to change the world, help people out. It's, it's amazing, what your life goal, this goal of helping people, how many lives you've touched and you've helped. It's just remarkable.
Well, I can't even take this much credit because our board members are amazing. Linda Eastman, who is our operations manager, who's and Courtney Callahan, who started it as well, works tirelessly, physically, emotionally, unbelievably in keeping this going. They do all the real hard legwork, and we just do our best to provide them money and the support that they need in order to keep going. But the individuals who are involved in it, the volunteers, we have so many volunteers, and they're committed. They come every day that they're scheduled to come. That we couldn't do it without them. We just couldn't do it without them. So, I'm only a teeny tiny cog in the wheel. All the credit goes to the people who work on it every single day and work there physically.
Shout out to you guys.
Yes,
awesome.
Absolutely.
And, it would seem like you're all cut from the same cloth. The same mentality.
Yes.
Same goal. Helping the community. And then when you collectively band together with this mentality, it's like you're changing.
You can be successful.
It's like, would you say that's the secret sauce?
Yeah, you can be successful because it's not about you. It's not about one individual. It's not about, you don't need recognition. You do it because you want the end result to be helping people. So it has nothing to do with one person. Oh, I did this, I did this, I did this. No, no, no. We're all working together to do it. And yes, everybody does their part, and we couldn't be successful unless we had everybody doing that. You know, our board members all have specialties in how they help and their expertise in how they help us. So without that, all those puzzle pieces, it would be almost impossible to be successful.
Wow, that's a very important point you make. That's definitely for our younger viewers, right?
Yes.
Who kind of just, you know, Instagram age, you know, it's like, I want the recognition. Let me figure out how to get the recognition. But it's like, no, pursue your passion, your dreams, do the right thing. And when you do the right thing, the results will follow. Recognition may potentially follow, but who cares? Like, recognition should not be the primary goal,
No.
right? It's being satisfied and content
Yes.
with who you are, right?
That feeling of, yes, okay, now I feel good is much bigger than, you know, somebody, I don't know, I can't compare it to, but it really is the most worthwhile feeling,
It's like when you
rewarding feeling.
100%. It's like when you pass on, you can't really. When you pass on, it's not like you're gonna bring the recognition with you, right? Or like bring the money with you, or bring the fancy cars, right? But what you can bring with you is that feeling, right?
Yep.
That feeling of, you know, what you did to impact the world and change the world.
Right, and I think that as you're talking about this next generation, it's really important. Like, you know, I have two children. My daughter Mary's 28. She just got married to her wonderful husband, Will. And my son, Will, who is 25. And they're wonderful human beings. They really are. And I think my goal as a parent, I said, I could make millions of dollars in the world. I could have great jobs. I could have this and that. But if I wasn't a good mom to my kids, I would not feel successful. Like, that was my primary goal in life. Like, these children are brought into this world, and I have to make sure that they have the life lessons that they need and that I want them to have. And I think growing up with their parents, living with my grandparents, with their grandparents, my parents, was such a lesson for them. I mean, they learned to respect the older generation. They learned that you can learn from them, and they learned just how not to be afraid of the growth process and the aging process. And I think it's really important that the next generation know that. It's not, because everybody worries about money. Everybody worries about finances. I worry about it. You know, there's not, you know, unless you win the lottery, but then you still worry about it because people are coming at you for money. But what you want to feel, what I always just said I wanted to feel was that I taught them the right lessons in life. And that, because it's going to progress and they're going to have their children. And what are they going to teach their children? And I just wanted them to be good people, you know how to be a good person. So I think that's important. And I think everybody has it in them. It's just a matter of finding it and, you know, sticking with it.
Awesome. If you had a time machine and you can go back, say Christine after she got out of college, right? Like before, you know, all of these incredible experiences that you've experienced. Do you have any advice, a piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Yes. Well, I said it earlier. Don't ever think anything is too big for you or too great for you to do. And listen to what people say. If people are giving you compliments or showing you your strengths, believe them. You know, try and build on your confidence. Look at, maybe see yourself the way other people see yourself. Like I said, I was very shy. I never thought, oh my God, I would never in a million years have thought I would ever stand up in front of 200 people and speak. And during life, doing my events and stuff, I did it all the time. So allow yourself to grow and do it with an open mind. Don't be afraid of it. And my sister told me this quote, which is when she first told it to me, I was like, wow, I have to listen to that. I have to tell myself that every day. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. Wow.
Because I remember the first event that I did for LIAF, and it was probably about 200 people there, and I had to get up and speak, and I was like, I don't think I can do this, I don't think I can do this. And my sister was like, you're feeling the fear. You just got to get out there and do it. And I was like, you're right, you're right. And once I do it, I'll get over that fear. Because if you give in to that fear, it'll stop, for me, it would have stopped my growth. Right. It would have never let me be the person I am today. And I'm a very, not different person, but I'm a much broader person than I was back then.
Wow. Thank you so much for that great quote, because another awesome theme that I've heard other successful industry leaders say as well. It's like, just when you're afraid, it's an emotion, but like
Yes.
you gotta take action to defeat the emotion, because the emotion is not gonna get you anything. It's a driver, but then it's like it doesn't really change anything. You gotta
Right.
just go and do it. It reminded me of this awesome experience when I went bungee jumping for the first time.
I will never do that. I'll tell you right now, I will feel that fear and I will walk away. That's not the fear that I will go to.
Yeah.
Never. How did you do that?
I felt the fear and I just did it. And I remember that it just, and I kid you not, literally that quote. I remember I walked up to the ledge and I was shaking and it was just like, I was petrified, but then I'm just like, I'm just gonna do it.
Oh my God.
And it just because I wanted to experience the experience of jumping. And if I would have chickened out there, I would have never experienced it.
Yeah, but I couldn't do it. I mean, I believe in that quote, but like I did zip lining once and I could barely step off they almost had to push me off the platform. And I got down to the bottom and I was like, that's great, I did it, I don't have to do it again. Like I'm not a heights person.
But
So I know that.
But can I offer a counterpoint though? If let's just say a weird fantasy world where it's like, okay, if you zip line, you'll save 1 million people.
Well, yeah, see,
I'm
that's
sure,
just, now you're challenging me. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Well, yeah, if it said your children are down there and you have to go save them, yes, absolutely, I would.
Exactly.
I might have a heart attack on the way down, I don't know. I'd be so scared. I would be so scared because I don't like heights, but if it was something like that, then yeah, I probably would.
100%. That quote, it's very powerful.
Yeah.
That quote. I guess it just depends on the context of the situation, but like, I think it's definitely applicable for
Yes.
for
You're right.
everybody. But Christine Rice, I don't know how better to end this. I mean, this episode is full of secret sauces, inspirational experiences. Just, I really appreciate you coming on, and I think the value of podcasts is to be able to, in this case, video podcasts, be able to see the person and kind of just better understand the person. Again, this is not rehearsed. This is, something, that, this is very organic, and just seeing how real a person is, I think, it's inspiring to our viewers. So Christine Rice, pleasure is mine. This was an amazing podcast.
Thank you so much
for coming on.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate it because I appreciate all the support you give our center, and because my staff is amazing. I just have to say that. Every day I love coming in. I love all of them. They're wonderful. They come in here because they love their jobs and they love helping people. And I could not be successful if it were not for them as well. So I can't take all the credit. It's a joy to be here. And our members, I was away for a week, like I said, for a wedding, and I couldn't wait to come back and see them all. I had to hug them and be like, I missed you. I want to know what's going on. So thank you for giving us this recognition. And if any senior out there, 60 years or older, who lives in Nassau County, please come and join us. It's free membership. We have transportation, we've got meals, so just give us a call.
Heck yeah. I'm going to leave the link for the Senior Center. Please support and donate, right? I'm going to leave the link down there as well. I'll leave the link for NOSH and North Shore Soup Kitchen. And yeah, come say hi. Glen Cove Senior Center is amazing.
Yes, our website is being updated, so when you look at it, it might not be perfect, but it does have our phone number and everything on there, so you'll be able to get in touch with us.
Christine Rice, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Hamilton.
Awesome episode. This episode is brought to you by Jing's Mortgage Team. Jing's Mortgage Team is a team of real estate mortgage professionals whose mission is to help anyone with their real estate needs. If you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, refinance your home, have credit issues, or in need of an investment loan, we can definitely help you. If you're looking for a real estate agent, we know the best of the best real estate agents. Visit the link below for more information.